What's up, y'all? So, hopefully, I can keep this video short, sweet, and to the point. I want to talk about the COVID numbers. We've got such a, man, the media has been playing this game with us, and they've been playing it so right. We're just buying into all kinds of bullshit, hook, line, and sinker, right? So, it seems like every time I have a conversation with one of my friends who is on the left, we'll say that, they're pretty quick to bring out the number of deaths. How many people have died? It's a lot, and I can't think of what the actual number is. I think it's 140, 160, 160,000, something like that. And don't get me wrong, that's a terrible number. It's a huge number, but it's not accurate, right? The people who, those same leftists and liberals tell us that we're supposed to be trusting, they've already made it clear that the deaths, people who die and they have COVID in their body, they may not have necessarily died from COVID, but they had COVID in their body when they died. That's just getting labeled a COVID death. So, number one, the actual death count is off, which brings the percentage of people who are dying from the disease, brings that down. We can argue about how far off those numbers are, but the bottom line is they are definitely off. All right, that's the first part. Then you have the second side. The second end of it is the number of people who actually got sick. The number of cases, right? So when you're looking at the number of cases, you got to look at two things. You were not able to get tested unless you were showing symptoms, and there is a very high percentage of cases that are asymptomatic, which means if you were asymptomatic, you were not showing symptoms, you couldn't get the test, which means that there are way more people who had it or have it, and we don't even know about it. And then when you look at the deaths, that just kind of goes to show the virus is nowhere near as deadly as what they're pushing. Right? People who have died, don't get me wrong. People who have died, people who've gotten the COVID virus or have gotten COVID and died, these are legitimate, but then there are a lot of them that are not. So I guess what I'm saying there, I'm not trying to minimize the whole thing. People who have family members, friends who have passed away, I'm not trying to minimize it. What I am saying is that there are nowhere near as many people dying from COVID as they're telling us, and there are way more people who had it or have it than we know. So, with both of those two factors, simply put, our numbers are off, and it's nowhere near as bad as what they keep feeding down, shoving down our throat. But yet, they're going to force us to wear masks everywhere. Some places are even forcing you to wear masks in the house, in your own house. For what? For what? It's a control thing. It's the government stepping past boundaries, right? Businesses that have closed their doors and are not going to be able to open back up. The business has been crushed, completely crushed by this hysteria. And why is this hysteria actually being peddled, right? I'd love to get into the whole conspiracy of the whole thing, election time, all that stuff. But I don't think that that's anything that I can really prove at this point. But what I can say is the individual who is intimately involved with developing a vaccine for this is on record saying that basically there are too many people on this earth and we need to reduce the population by a lot. That's the guy that is at the top of this whole vaccine situation. Sounds like a conflict of interest to me, right? Y'all think about that stuff. I'm just some crazy cat on a Saturday or on a Sunday trying to make myself something to eat. Y'all have a good one. I'll talk to you soon.